Thank you, Tessa. To the city's executive mayor, Councillor Herman Mashaba, members of the media, Johannesburg officials, and other officials of the city. I think next time it will be far, far better if we have the community to come and support us and the councillors. Mine is short, is to introduce the executive mayor who tirelessly worked with us on our operations. When we did stop and search, we do our roadblock, the launch, he has always been there. So we want to say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the support we are giving to the officers. It really motivates us. So we are blessed to have you today to give us a word of support before we start with our performance stats. Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Program Director, Officer Tessa Adams, our Chief of Police, Mr. David Tembe, all the directors and senior management of JMPD, Chairperson of the Section 79 Committee on Public Safety, councillors and officials of the City of Johannesburg present this morning, distinguished guests, members of the media, and most importantly, the residents of our City of Johannesburg. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, when a new administration comes into power, citizens want to see instant results. When they do not experience these benefits, they think nothing is happening, that the wheels of change are not turning. Well, it is understandable that people would find it difficult to notice the changes in fact happening where they've grown accustomed to their lives, having stood still for more than 20 years while they were fed a steady diet of propaganda and lies, courtesy of a well-resourced public relations campaign of a world-class African city. I would like to take this opportunity to explain exactly how the wheels of change now move so that instead of buying into misconceptions, you can have an accurate picture of how the City of Johannesburg has progressed in the last 2 years. I wish to start by declaring that we are in fact steadily producing the change so many of our residents continue to demand from us on a daily basis. And it is the right after all. In everything we have done to date, we have managed to put the interest of our people first, and in the process, developed a comprehensive plan that encompasses commitment we have made to improve the lives of our people of Johannesburg. Among the commitments we have made was to restore the rule of law, to once again instill a culture of doing the right thing irrespective of whether there may be disadvantages to one's immediate interest. No country has ever succeeded and prospered without the achievement of the rule of law. Attainment of this goal requires leaders to possess the political will to tackle lawlessness head-on. We have to strengthen our law enforcement capacity and judicial system, and we have to do so with greater resolve than those who break our laws. We have to operate in a manner where no illegal act, no minor infringement, no contravention is too small not to be acted upon. It is not enough to talk tough on crime. Our children and our children will judge us for our action, not our words. We have focused on the work of making Johannesburg a safer place, initiating, as all of you are aware, a recruitment of 1,500 new Metro Police officers and establishing a specialized unit. Soon, we will have fully operational municipal courts presided over by magistrates and prosecutors operating around the clock to ensure that no offense is minor to escape the rule of our city. Already, in the last year, more arrests were affected by our Metro Police than the 4 years combined between 2010 and 2014. We have waged war on the corrupt who betray the public trust and privilege to serve the people of our city. Successes continue to be registered in other areas of law enforcement, including preventing more counterfeit goods from hitting our streets. This is especially important because those who are profiting from counterfeit goods have upped their game. In addition to mass producing fake goods like clothing and shoes, these criminals have now moved into producing fake medicine, including antiretroviral drugs and Panadol. In fact, our JMPD officers, working with their counterparts in Tshwane, Ekurhuleni and other provinces of Gauteng, shut down 2 makeshift drug labs in Forsberg and Jet Park in the east of Johannesburg recently. I was surprised to find out that the makeshift drug lab in Forsberg was masquerading as an egg factory. In just 2 years, JMPD has been part of law enforcement efforts that have uncovered and confiscated counterfeit goods with a straight value of 250 million rands. A couple of weeks ago, JMPD officers confiscated almost 80 million rands worth of counterfeit goods from one building alone in the inner city. Million worth more of goods were confiscated in other buildings, also in the inner city. While this stealing work is pleasing, and believe me when I say I'm absolutely proud of our officers, we must be concerned about other counterfeit goods producing factories that remain in operation across our city. This is because the money generated through these goods fund even more terrible crimes in our country. It also funds the kidnapping and illegal transportation of undocumented persons in South Africa, who are then kept against their will in these illegal factories and warehouses. Moreover, the more than 80 million rands in fake goods means an incredible loss to the national fiscals in lost taxes. It also makes one wonder how these goods escape the country's borders and customs agencies. More crucially, fake goods mean that South Africans lose out on jobs because at the end of the day, these people don't employ our people. The reality is, ladies and gentlemen, that the producers and traders of these counterfeit goods do not employ South African citizens. In a country like ours, which is battling a worsening crisis of unemployment, inequality and increasing crime, a result of first crisis is disheartening that the national government seems content to remain oblivious to calls for them to take decisive action. What is even more disheartening is that the proliferation of counterfeit goods scares away potential foreign investors. This is because no reputable company will invest in a country in which their intellectual property will not be protected. With the national criminal justice system failing to act decisively on crime, South Africa is doing nothing else but destroying jobs and pushing away those who have the means to create even more jobs for our people. But I'm encouraged to learn that our frustration with the national justice system are shared by others. Recently, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police raised concern over the turnaround time in prosecuting the bulk of corruption cases reported to the police. Committee Chairperson Francois Bergman revealed that some cases had not taken further for prosecution 8 years after they had initially been reported to the police. He said, and I quote, "During the meeting with the former National Director of Public Prosecution as well as acting head of Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, the committee highlighted then the need for agency in dealing with corruption as well as serious commercial crime investigations. It is unacceptable that some cases are still not prosecuted for up to 8 years since initial reporting." Close quote. It was also quite interesting that, much like the City of Johannesburg, the Portfolio Committee argued that there was a direct link between a fully functional criminal justice system and strong economic growth. In its statement, the committee said, and I quote, "An efficiently working criminal justice system is necessary to deal with criminality and restore the South African economic growth trajectory and fosters an enabling environment for job creation, close quote. One can't help but wonder whether the pleas of an NEC-led portfolio committee will receive better attention than those of South Africa and Africa, most economically important city of Johannesburg. I think we shall see. I sincerely hope that the incoming National Director of Public Prosecution, Advocate Shamila Batoyi, will heed the committee's words and act on the information of the City of Johannesburg has passed on the NPA in recent months. Once she assumes office in February 2019, the city will ensure to request an urgent meeting to present directly to her the criminal matters we referred to her predecessor. Nonetheless, there is some reason to be concerned at the continued snubbing of our information from the prosecuting authority, SAPS and the Hawks. I watched with absolute horror this past Thursday night as ENC broadcast the television program Crime Watch, in which the anchor Yusuf Abramji shadowed members of the JMPD led by the Chief of Police as they manned a roadblock in one of our suburbs. Up to 80 people were arrested for drunken driving and under the influence of alcohol, and when asked whether those arrested would face the full might of the law, members of the JMPD confidently declared that in affirmation. Sadly, when Mr. Amramji returned the following day to follow up on the JMPD members' promises, he found that the drivers that were arrested the previous night had left. Most of them had paid 1,000 rands bail, while the whereabouts of the remaining contingents of drivers are today unknown. This is extremely concerning, not least because we have a culture of lawlessness that manifests itself in ever-increasing drunk driving cases. Last month, JNPD registered 821 cases of motorists arrested for drunken driving and influence. All crime needs to be nipped in the bud. Transgressions such as drinking and driving cannot go unpunished. If allowed, such behavior graduates to reckless driving, which puts the lives of innocent people in grave danger. It is important to note that the longer people continue committing what may be considered at first minor infringements of the law without facing any meaningful punishment, then we are building a society of habitual lawbreakers. We simply can no longer be told to pass additional bylaws to combat crime when more decisive action by agencies comprising the National Criminal Justice System, especially SAPS and NPA, is what we need to rid our country of rampant crime permanently. If they fail to act, unfortunately, all of us as the City of Johannesburg will also fail. I'd like to congratulate each one of our JMPD officers for the sterling work they are doing to keep our streets safe. The hard work you are putting is beginning to show in the sort of successes we are registering against criminals in our city. I'm proud to tell you that JMPD is becoming a model police unit in South Africa, and more residents are noticing your excellent work. For my part, I wish to declare that you will always enjoy the political support of my office to continue to serve the residents of Johannesburg with honor, integrity, and dignity. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I would really like to emphasize on this particular matter of lack of prosecution. As you remember, the last time the Chief of Police did indicate to us, with all the cases of arrest, prosecution, we're not enjoying more than 10%. It's a disaster. And us as a City of Johannesburg, with our limited powers, we can only arrest and hand over the suspects to the national and provincial criminal justice system. And unfortunately, that's where we have failed. We had 2 cases in this month. First was, in fact, we had 3, when the Sunday Times raised the issue of the dangers of illegal mining in our city. A week later, carte blanche, raised the issue of the withdrawal of serious cases with overwhelming evidence. And last week, Crime Watch, under the anchorship of Yusuf Abramji, I'm sure all of you are aware. Up to now, some of the people who we arrested, taken to the police, we don't know what happened to them. Some of them only paid their 1,000 fine. The bail. Now you can imagine in a society like this, how are we going to win? And one thing that is actually certain is that for as long as Johannesburg is not safe, for as long as Johannesburg does not work, South Africa is not going to work. So it is important for us to release the stats on a monthly basis so that society can hold all of us, public or representatives, accountable, from local government, provincial government, and national government, so that all of us actually take the responsibility, not abdicate our responsibility in protecting our residents. Thank you very much, and over to the program director. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, we're going to ask the Chief of Police, who will do the presentation for us about the successes of JP.
Thank you, Tessa. Thanks, Executive Mayor. I'd like to read the stats of the performance of JMPG November month. We'll start with our crime prevention. Top 6 crime types arrest for November 2018. Driving under the influence of alcohol for November only is 821 compared to 671 in October. So there is an increase of drunken driving. Public violence arrests 36, undocumented person 40, stolen motor vehicles 14 arrests, reckless and negligent driving 13, drugs 10. JMPD recoveries for November: hijacked vehicles, we have recovered 121 for November, firearms recovered 16, drugs 413 that we have recovered. Now we'll go per regions. Drunken driving arrest, region A is 86, possession of stolen motor vehicle 1, hijacking robberies of motor vehicles 1, region B driving under the influence of alcohol 90, reckless and negligent driving 2, theft of motor vehicle 1, region C driving under the influence of alcohol 70, possession of stolen motor vehicle 3, firearms and unlicensed 2, region D driving under the influence of alcohol, that's 82, possession and dealing with drugs 4, malicious damage to property 2, region E, driving under the influence of alcohol, it's 159. Just a second, let me put my glasses. 159. Crimen injuria 6, possession of dangerous weapon, that includes knife, pangas, it's 6. Driving under the influence of alcohol is 98. It appears to be leading. F1 inner city, it appears they are drinking a lot. Public violence, it's assault and others, 36. Undocumented, it's immigrants, 40 arrests. Region F2, driving under the influence of alcohol, 67. Possession of stolen vehicle 2. Hijacking, robbery of motor vehicles is 1. Region G, driving under the influence is 90. Possession of stolen motor vehicle 2. Possession or dealing in drugs is 2. These stats that I've presented now per region, it shows where we have to deploy our resources based on the data that we have. Operation Nightlife has to do with places of entertainment, places such as Kiss, nightclubs in the inner city and surrounding the city. We did 49 operations. We issued 47 citations, 50 public drinking arrests. Those who drink in the street, we arrest them, but we have got a challenge in this regard for public drinking because at the end of the day, they get released. And it's one of the the basic things that we need to deal with because these are the bylaws. I'm going to propose to the city to ensure that drinking in public bylaws are revised. Crime prevention, tribe band roadblocks, we have done 172. 6,511 vehicles stopped. 106 vehicles discontinued, it means it has been taken off the road. 4,263 citations issued, and we did 20 arrests on those crime prevention roadblocks. Crime prevention roadside checks, 286 operations, 13,205 vehicles stopped, 90 vehicles discontinued, 8,160 citations issued, and 86 arrests. Roadside checks is where you find 2 or 3 vehicles whereby they stop the vehicles and search them and they move to the next one, maybe in 30 minutes or 2 hours or 1 hour. So these are what we call it roving roadside checks. Bad buildings, 28 bad buildings were raided, 40 undocumented persons were arrested. We have impounded 617 vehicles for the month of November for unroadworthy, others have been stolen, other vehicles come from the neighboring states without proper documentation. Scrap metals, we've done 78 scrap metals, panel beaters, spray painters, and vehicle repair garages. These are some of the vehicles that are on our roads for overloads. You will see them right now. If you can go out, you'll see how much there's a disregard of our road laws. Filming, we've done in Johannesburg 39. Marches and gathering, there was 79 for November. Sports and recreation is 62. In total, we have done 180. Driver fitness, that means people carrying driver's license, that a person is not drunk, is 13,398 that we have done. Vehicle fitness, that the vehicles is roadworthy, we have done 9,452. Moving violation is 143,732. The total for November is 166,582. Operation Buyamteto, bylaw enforcement. The problem that we are facing in the city is illegal dumping. People are building and perhaps at night they go and dump somewhere. This is where, again, we need to look at our bylaws that are not sufficient. Because we arrest these people. We confiscate or impound the vehicle. But that doesn't deter them. You know the reason why? Because our bylaws is far less. It's 1,500 for the load that the owner is getting 20,000 for it. So he budgeted for that. So we need to revisit it. I will propose to the city that first offense, he paid that 3,000. The second offense, 10,000. The third offense, 30,000 for an example. It must escalate. It can't stay at 1,500. It doesn't matter how many times we arrest that particular person. It can't be. So we're going to look at that. I will propose on my report early next year to the city to change this type of things. Illegal structure that was removed, part of our bylaws. We have removed 503. Illegal advertising posters removed 5,084. Illegal street trading, section 56 issued. That's 72. Here we didn't do much because we are changing the books. It's the books that we have to have the ones that will comply with our codes. Illegal connections of water cutoffs is 78. Here we are going to intensify here the illegal cutoffs, especially with electricity. There is a unit that after we've done our cutoff, it will visit those buildings or those businesses to ensure that it stays cut until it complies. That's what we're going to do. In fact, the unit is there. It's just that to tighten up some issues that we are having. We've got Parks Patrol. I'm concerned mostly about Parks Patrol. But what the city is going to do, right now you can see 27, the one that we have done for November. In December, it's going to increase because everybody goes to the parks to have some drinks, to enjoy himself during festive season. I'll request my officers to ensure that we monitor, we patrol our parks for this festive season. It's one of our priority for the festive season. Illegal demarcation removed, especially in Alexander, next to Alexander, when they do land invasion. Illegal dumping is 35, which is the number I'm not happy about. There's a lot of illegal dumping in the city. Liquor outlets, we visited 234. Here we work hand in hand with Liquor Board, SAPS, and other departments. Penal beater spray painting, we dealt with 78, and the total is 312. Corruption in JMPD. We have dealt with corruption, we had 1 in November. Theft by our officers is 1. Negligence, 1. Misuse of council vehicles. Mostly it happened during Black Friday. People drive our vehicle and go and buy TVs and all. So we caught about 3. Absent without leave is 1. Misconduct, 1. Conduct unbecoming, 1. Insubordination, 1. The total for November is 10, compared to 27 of the previous month. That is October. So there is much improvement in behavior of our officers. And I'd like to thank the commanders for doing a good job in that regard. Preventable cases, these are accident of our vehicles. Preventable cases, it's 8. It means it has been negligence on our part. It should have been prevented by our officers. Non-preventable is 19. So we had 27 accidents for November, compared to the previous one, where we had over 100. So I'd like to commend again the commanders that they're doing a good job in terms of making sure that our driving is up to standard. Now, feedback on cases of significance. We have arrested an instructor. I think you have seen it for sexual harassment. The instructor offered an extra lesson on condition that she booked for them at the bed and breakfast. The female officer reported the matter to the director of academy, who informed the chief of police. The chief of police immediately instructed the director of internal affairs. Sting operation was set up. The instructor was arrested on the 2nd of November, on the 13/12, 2018, the instructor only got his 2,000 rand pay. So we are doing it internally and externally. Sexual harassment in Johannesburg metropolis or in the city will never be tolerated. Arrest of JMPD officer. An officer fatally wounded a member of the public and injured a bystander. The incident occurred at Rockefeller Lounge in Molapo, Soweto. The officer was charged with murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH. The officer was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years on the 2nd of November, 2018. Here we want to show that even if it's our own, it doesn't matter. Buyamthetho is for all of us. The fatal shooting of Officer Zulu, Inspector Zulu, is still pending. Investigation is still going on. The officer Rachikopa, those who have been arrested, they will appear again on the 21st January 2019. Remember, Officer Rachikopa was shot while he did stop a hijacked vehicle. And there were cameras there, but people have been arrested. The case is ongoing. He is still behind bars. The taxi driver who drive facing oncoming traffic, I think you have seen it as the chief. It was the driver was found guilty, and he faced 3 months imprisonment, and he paid 6,000 rand fine. This shows that if you report to us, we get evidence, we are going to make a follow-up. And this case is a classic one, I think, which one is the first of its kind, where somebody get a footage and send it to us, and we made a follow-up. Fatalities to date in the city of Johannesburg after our launch, we had 16 deaths of the pedestrians, 3 drivers, 1 passenger, 1 cyclist. This is during this festive season that we're in till today, and compared to 17 fatalities that were reported at the same period last year. Last year. Buyamthetho, Region 1. On the 4th of November 2018, 1 suspect was arrested for possession of stolen goods at Kingdon Road, Southdale Household Appliance from a truck that was hijacked in Amaskar with estimated value of 800,000. That was recovered at the storage facility at Southdale by the officers of the city. Now, we have got a problem with these churches. I think the executive mayor and myself made it very clear. We made it very clear that the noise that is done by our churches is unacceptable. 1 is illegal connections in these churches. 2, making noise the whole night with the sound system. And 3, the illegal connection, because they get electricity somewhere and they don't comply with the safety of the city. So it is our prerogative, and it is what we're going to do to deal with those that are not complying. Whether you're a church, it's a shebeen, places of entertainment, we'll deal with it as and when they commit those crimes. We are tired of people. I am tired of people who phone me at 1 o'clock that I can't sleep. The mayor is tired every now and then. They phone. They said, I can't sleep. Please, I'm going to work tomorrow. Please, I am sick. I can't sleep. So these churches, we have got nothing against the churches. But what we want from them, please comply. That's all. That's all that we're asking. Just comply. On the 23rd, 11, 2018, Buyamthetho He had an operation, cordon and search, in the CBD. We had about 8 to 12 places where we put our vehicles, and then we went in and searched all the places where they had counterfeit goods. Our first date on the 23rd, we confiscated goods worth 28 million. On the 26/11, goods worth 15 million. On the 29th, goods worth 25 million, and on the 30th, 18 million. I would like to Mr. Mayor, I would like to thank ER24 that came with the equipment that helped us to do our job with ease. SAPS, they played an important role. EMS played a very much important role. Ekurhuleni, Metropolis and Tshwane Metropolis were there to assist us in cleaning up the city. With this type of operations, I'm confident that we can clean up the city. This month, it's not a threat, it's a promise. We'll be visiting Hillbrow, Berea, Yeoville. I can't say the date. But those who are there, if you are doing something wrong, we are going to be on you. Buyamteto, on the 19th/11, 4 suspects were arrested by JMPD Vehicle Monitoring Unit in Soweto. 3 suspects for possession of stolen Eskom cable with estimated value of 28,000. 1 suspect, an owner of a scrapyard, arrested for offering officers a 3.5 bribe. Now, our officers now, if you offer them a cold drink, so cold drink, it will be a thing of the past. So if you offer my officers, you will be arrested. So don't offer, rather face the music if you have done something wrong. Buyamteto JMPD K9 jointly with West Crime Intelligence arrested 1 suspect for possession of explosive during an operation in Rodiport CBD. Item says 99 power gel, blasting cartridge, 15 electric detonators, and 63 meters of detonating a fuse. The Executive Mayor, MMC Michael San, and the Chief of Johannesburg Metropolis acknowledged hardworking officers of JMPD at a prestigious function which was held at Nazareth on Friday the 30th/11. The officer of the year received a car. The second received 15,000. The third 5,000, and the bravery award got 5,000. So it is the way of saying thank you to the officers. While I'm still in office, the officers will get a car. Officers who perform. We need to say thank you. In my inauguration, I promised the Executive Mayor and the officers that I'm going to reward officers that go beyond the call of duty in ensuring that the community of the city is safe. I think and believe that together we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief of Police. I think we've come to our interesting part now. We're going to open up questions and answers from the media. Will you take the questions?